and that's never something that we want to see. And so again, I urge the community to come together and understand that we are called to mourn with those who mourn, and cry with those who cry, and that's what we're here to do today, and just spread a message of love and unity and community.
Now, Orange County's superintendent, in reaction said counselors continue to be available for any student or staff member dealing with the news. I ask that you keep the entire Hunters Creek Middle School community in your prayers as they grieve the loss of one of their own. Now, we are going to be standing by waiting for this vigil to start. As you can see, people are starting to gather here in this area. Of course, we'll bring you the latest at News 6 at 11. But for now, we are live here in Orange County. Brian Ditlake getting results, News 6.
All right, Brian, thank you. And you can rely on News 6, News 6 Plus, and clickorlando.com to keep you up to date on the death of Madeline all weekend long.
Right now, an investigation is underway after a small plane crashed into a warehouse. These are the pictures that Edgewater fire crews posted on Facebook. They say this happened today at Massey Ranch Air Park. The pilot was not hurt and was able to get out before first responders got there. The NTSB is now investigating.
Also, Justin.
Okay. I just spotted this. Don't know the full details yet. Let's go back to the beginning of this news report. Okay, here.
In your neighborhood now, it's 6:30.
This is insane. We do want to start with the heartbreaking developments in the search for a missing girl.
Although we have not found Madeline, we are now confident that she is dead.
The twist started this afternoon with Orange County Sheriff John Mina announcing what no one hoped to hear. Now, minutes ago, deputies confirmed they have found the body of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. That discovery came late this afternoon off Hickory Tree Road. News 6's Troy Campbell is there live for us. Troy.
Well, Justin, right now we're standing just there in St. Cloud. If you take a look here behind me, this is what we've seen once we came out. That will be the road that will lead to the scene where investigators say that they did locate the body, 13-year-old Madeline Soto. We are in St. Cloud. Again, this is off of Hickory Tree Road. To run you up to speed, again, Monday morning, it was reported that Madeline was dropped off at her school, Hunters Creek Middle School. However, when her mom went to pick her up later that night, school said, your daughter never came to school that day. Obviously frantic. Mom calls friends, loved ones. A couple hours later, they call the sheriff's office. Sheriff's office immediately sends out that this is very unusual for this girl to be missing. They speak with the family. Then comes in 37-year-old Stephen Stearns. He is the boyfriend of little Madeline's mother. Investigators say he was the one who was last to see her alive. He said he dropped her off to school. The sheriff said there just simply wasn't any evidence of that. They say he handed over his cell phone to investigators when they asked to go through his phone. Then he said, I'm handing you a phone that actually just had a factory reset that I accidentally did today, the day that she went missing, meaning on Monday. Sheriff Mina says he then handed that phone over to his forensic analyst. They were able to retrieve pictures, videos, graphic of him sexually assaulting a child. They didn't specifically say, didn't identify that child in that situation, but they did make it clear it was inside the family's home where little Madeline lives. So again, we are hearing from investigators. They did locate the body of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. This coming after she was last seen alive Monday morning. Her mother's boyfriend, 37-year-old Stephen Stevens, he is Stearns. He is in the Osceola County Jail. He was moved there from the Orange County Jail this morning. Ultimately, he will likely now be facing murder charges. in this case, given the sheriff has already made it clear he is the prime suspect, and they do believe, prior to discovering her body, investigators had already said they believe that she had been killed. So, of course, we're going to continue to get updates from investigators. The family, as well, we're told, have been notified about this at about this same time at 6:30 at Hunters Creek Middle School. Her friends, all her peers at her middle school were set to have a prayer vigil for her. So all of this is coming out as they're gathering. And of course, we're going to continue to ask the sheriff's office about the details of the discovery. Live in St. Cloud, Troy Campbell, Getting Results, News 6.
Just tragic. All right, Troy, thank you. And as Troy mentioned, in less than 30 minutes, many in the community are expected to gather in prayer at Hunters Creek Middle School. News 6's Brian Didlake is there live outside where that prayer vigil will be held. And you talked to one of the organizers, Brian?
Justin, yes, we did. And this is now set to be an emotional prayer vigil, considering the news, the update from the Osceola County Sheriff's Office confirming again the body of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. And that vigil is set to be held here at Hunters Creek Middle School in about 30 minutes. It's going to be here behind me, somewhere in this field area. And actually, that organizer that we talked to earlier is walking towards those balloons that are now have been set up. Again, I talked to that organizer who was a pastor just 15 minutes ago, informing him that this missing person case has now turned into a homicide case.
Devastation, a young life taken away. And that's never something that we want to see. And so again, I urge the community to come together and understand that we are called to mourn with those who mourn and cry with those who cry. And that's what we're here to do today, and just spread a message of love and unity in community.
Now, Orange County's superintendent, in reaction said counselors continue to be available for any student or staff member dealing with the news. I ask that you keep the entire Hunters Creek Middle School community in your prayers as they grieve the loss of one of their own. Now, we are going to be standing by, waiting for this vigil to start. As you can see, people are starting to gather here in this area. Of course, we'll bring you the latest at News 6 at 11. But for now, we're live here in Orange County. Brian Didlake, Getting Results, News 6.
All right, Brian, thank you. And you can rely on News 6, News 6 Plus, and clickorlando.com to keep you up to date on the death of Madeline all weekend long.
Right now, an investigation is underway after a small plane crashed into a warehouse. These are the pictures that Edgewater fire crews posted.
Okay, I'm trying to look for other stuff. Let's go listen to the press conference earlier today. Just a sec. Let me key that up. Okay, this was from earlier.
The reporting by Wesh. Here is the sheriff. Let's listen in.
So thank you for being here. We have some important developments in this case that we want to share with our community. I wish we were here to tell you that we have found Madeline, but we have not found her. Last night, detectives from the Kissimmee Police Department met with Madeline's mother, and they had to tell her the very devastating news that although we have not found Madeline, we are now confident that she is dead. So our efforts will be focused on recovering Madeline. Dozens and dozens of detectives, crime analysts, and specialized team members have been working nonstop and following up on every single lead and every shred of evidence. Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off on the morning of February 26th near her school. Instead, we believe she was already dead at the time and that Stephen Stearns moved her body in the early morning hours on that day. We have video evidence that shows Stephen Stearns discarding items in a dumpster in that apartment complex in Kissimmee at 7:35 on Monday, February 26th. Detectives later recovered Madeline's backpack and her school-issued laptop from that dumpster. At 8:19, we have evidence that shows Stephen Stearns returning to the complex, and Madeline was visible in that vehicle. We believe she was already dead at that time. As a result of that, although the initial missing persons investigation started in Orange County, the Kissimmee Police Department will now be taking over the investigation and will become the lead agency. And of course, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, all of our support personnel will be available and will still be assisting in this investigation. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Holland from the Kissimmee Police Department. Chief.
Thank you for being here. As Sheriff Mina said, this is still an active and ongoing investigation, and there is a lot of additional information that we cannot release at this time. I do want to note that Stefan Stearns was transported from the Orange County Jail to the Osceola County Jail, where he is being held on capital sexual battery charges filed by the Kissimmee Police detectives. Right now, our top priority is recovering Madeline. We are still appealing to our community for its help in this case. Please share this crime line bulletin on my right of Stephen Stearns. He was last seen driving a silver 2010 Lincoln MKZ. The Florida tag is IYLL82. On Monday, February 26th, between 1 and 2:30 p.m. in the area of State Road 192 and Old Hickory Tree Road, as well as Old Hickory Tree Road and Nolte Road. During this time frame, it is believed that Stearns had a flat tire and might have been seen changing the tire in this area. If anyone saw this vehicle or noticed anything suspicious, we're asking that they call Crime Line. We will continue to work tirelessly with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, and St. Cloud Police Departments to bring a resolution to this case and recover Maddie. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Chief. We'll take some questions, but just remember, we're still in the middle of this investigation. There's a lot of things that we cannot reveal. No, Stearns has not spoken to anyone.
Is there any possible specifics that you can give us as to what you do believe that she is
The video evidence that we have.
Is it about just the position of her body, the way?
So we're not going to go into those exact details, but we have video evidence that leads us to believe that she's already dead.
Sheriff, there's been a lot of things that you just laid out here just now. This location in the afternoon, is there a belief, or are we trying to figure out, I know you're requesting video surveillance in that area. Are you trying to figure out whether she was still with this car at that time?
Yeah, so it could be helpful to us if people saw something. And obviously, we're searching many different areas. But if someone saw something in that area, we want to know about it.
Is that an area you've already searched?
What's that?
Where this car supposedly had a flat, is that an area you've already searched?
So we actually have people searching areas right now. So they've searched a bunch of different areas, and they're going to continue to search. So I don't want to go into specifics on exactly where. I don't want to miss something. One more time.
Did she leave the house? Was she at that time? Did you believe that she was? Did she leave the house on her own?
So what I'll say is what I already said is that we believe he moved her body in those early morning hours, and all that is still under investigation.
Did the mother is cooperating with the investigation?
Yes, we're talking to the mother. Yes.
She's not considered a suspect.
So we're talking to the mother and all this. There's, to my knowledge, she's not a suspect in this case right now.
You had mentioned that he dropped some items in the dumpster. Did you recover those?
That's correct. So from the dumpster, we recovered her backpack and her school-issued laptop.
Sheriff, do we believe that I know that you're piecing things together with different portions of video. Is it the department's belief that she was killed at the house?
It's our belief that she was killed in Kissimmee and that he moved her body. And so that's why the Kissimmee Police Department is the lead investigators now.
As for messages that you said that
Yeah, that's all part of the investigation, so we haven't determined that yet.
Have you been in touch with Madeline's family? How are they taking this?
Yeah, so obviously detectives have spoken to her mother, and as you can imagine, the reaction that any parent would have.
So this is transitioned from a disappearance investigation to a murder investigation headed up by the Kissimmee Police Department.
That is correct. It is transitioned to a homicide investigation, and the Kissimmee Police Department will be the lead agency in that investigation.
At this point, any new charges?
We're still investigating it.
I have a question for you, Chief, regarding new charges, because we noticed there's an additional charge for sex battery on a victim under the age of 12. Are you continuing to go through his phone and find more evidence?
The detectives are continuing the investigation, and as more evidence comes up, there may be more charges in the future.
Is it believed that Madeline was a victim in that as part of the investigation?
That's still all part of the investigation. I don't want to say right now.
What about the church footage that somebody mentioned that she was seen wearing she was seen at the church?
So yes, we reviewed that footage. It was very grainy. We weren't able to determine that was her, but like I said, we know that she was never dropped off at school that morning.
Are you assigning extra personnel to this case over the weekend? Are searches continuing?
That's correct. Searches are continuing as we speak. And so, like I said, we have people who are working nonstop. And so every lead that comes in, every piece of evidence that we receive, we're going to follow up on that. And if that leads us to a new search area, we'll be out all weekend.
Everybody good?
I think we're good.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Sheriff.
The press conference here confirming the worst fears in this case, that the sheriff's office is confident that 13-year-old Madeline Soto is dead, never having made it to school, and that the video that we had talked about before the press conference, the video that we had heard about in various reports that showed her being dropped off at a church near that school, that video was grainy and couldn't definitively pinpoint that it was her being dropped off for school. Absolutely heartbreaking point in this story as you get a look there at Stephen Stearns. That is the mother's boyfriend, who has been arrested but yet to be formally charged in Madeline Soto's death. Of course, now the investigation turns to locating Madeline Soto's remains. And I was jotting down a lot of notes. I think that the car is extremely important. I'm going to ask chat to help me out here with the car, because I was writing. It's a Lincoln MKZ, silver in color. I didn't get the year, but also of note, the flat tire is interesting, because if anybody spotted a Lincoln MKZ with a flat tire and somebody changing a flat tire, any information that now comes into the sheriff's office or to Kissimmee Police can help them track exactly where that Lincoln MKZ was, because it could take them to Madeline Soto's remains. But absolutely devastating to hear about video evidence existing that shows Madeline and really her remains around 7 o'clock in the morning, this past Monday morning, confirming to the sheriff's office that she never made it to school because she wasn't alive at the time that she was supposedly dropped off, that being 8:30 in the morning in Orlando. So absolutely devastating news. I'll go now to the chat. And again, I was jotting it down. Yeah, 2010 silver Lincoln MKZ. And they had it on the billboard ahead of the press conference, Wesh giving us a shot of that. And so if you're just joining us, the press conference just occurring, and a lot to break down here, but you can clearly get the sense that Stephen Stearns is without question the suspect. They confirmed, and I'm glad that the reporters in the room asked this question, that the mother is not considered to be a suspect at this time. The mother has done interviews expressing hope that Madeline would be found, as you would expect a mother being extremely frightened given what has transpired this week with her daughter never making it to school. Madeline never had her phone on her. She left it that morning, as it was reported, but now we understand that she never even left her home to make it to school, never even had the opportunity to grab her phone and bring it to school, because according to the sheriff's office, they have video evidence that points to her being dead as of Monday morning. Was she murdered on Monday morning? Was she murdered over the weekend? Did something occur that led to her death that Monday morning or at some point over the weekend? And how was it concealed from Jennifer Soto, Madeline's mother? All of these questions that now emerge, but something terrible and absolutely tragic happened to this 13-year-old girl, and you're looking at the face of the person that that authorities in Central Florida believe is responsible for this. He is the prime suspect in this case, and they are now trying to find her remains to proceed with the next phase of this investigation. Questions, comments. Of course, you can use hashtag KJB in the comment section. I can bring up that's basically your consent for us to bring your comment on screen and spotlight it live. Or you can go to www.heyjb.live to submit a comment there, and then it's automatically inserted into the queue for us to spotlight your comment. And I'll start to look for those comments now. Connie says, I may have missed something, but why are they confident? Do they know more than they are telling? Let's start with the second part of that question. Do they know more than they are telling? Of course. You would imagine that a lot of the details in regards to this are disturbing. They have video evidence where they were able to see Madeline, according to Sheriff John Mina, that came at a time when she's believed to have been dead. So they had eyes on her body at some point through this video evidence, according to the press conference. So that, of course, brings in subject matter that is undoubtedly extremely difficult for the family. They're coming to terms, of course, with now the news that that Madeline has been killed or is dead, and that news, of course, extremely tragic. So not releasing those details, of course, out of respect for the family.
Okay, let's take a look at one other video that I've found here. Let's see, this was 15 minutes ago from WKMG. Nope. Oh, this is just helicopter footage. Okay. So this is the area in which she was found. Yes, they found her body. Oops, I didn't get the... from what I read, a comment on Twitter, it sounds like the body was found near the boyfriend's car, which they've been looking for. So, let me... Not seeing a lot out there yet. I'm just glad that they found her quickly enough and found the car so that they can collect good evidence still. You know, in some of these cases, like a covert burial or something, and it's gone on for weeks or months. It's hard to get good evidence. Sometimes you can't tell the cause of death. So meanwhile, another case that been following the Michelle Troconis trial for the conspiracy to murder Jennifer Dulos. She was convicted on all 6 counts today. Sentencing May 31st. They were saying May 24th, but the defense went, that might not be an appropriate day. That is the day that she went missing and presumably murdered. So I think it would have been a great day for sentencing. But I'm not finding much new. Let me see if anything new has come down on Twitter. Oh, you're fine, AC's Wildflower. Welcome. This is very sad, but yeah, we had the press conference earlier today, which they said they were certain that she was dead, and within 4 hours they have found the body. So I think, let's see. There are a couple of videos, news reports from Fox, but Fox will get you demonetized faster than you can shake a stick. Let's see. Let's take a look at this interview from a couple the other day.
First, your last name, and spell them both out for me.
Okay. Jennifer Soto, JENNIFER SOTO.
Mother.
Mother.
Jennifer, tell me how you feeling right now.
I feel like I can't breathe. All I keep thinking about is, where is she? Is she safe? Is she okay? But we're all a wreck. My entire family is a mess. We're just so worried.
When did you first realize, or when did you file a missing report?
We filed a missing report. We called the police at like 4:45 yesterday, 4:45 p.m. But she actually went missing early that morning, around between 8:45 and 9 o'clock in the morning. She went missing. We had dropped her off close to the school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. Sorry. That should be it. Sorry about that. We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to share.
You share whatever you feel comfortable sharing. I know you had conversations with detectives. Not sure what that conversation is, but whichever you feel comfortable sharing, that will put the awareness out there.
Yeah, she was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m. heading towards the school, but she never made it.
What has the school said? Have you given in contact with the school?
Yes, that they're doing everything they can. They've given me all their resources. The principals called me. They've looked at their cameras. I don't think they've caught anything on the cameras is too far away from the sidewalk. Everything is too grainy, so they can't see specific faces. But they've looked. I'm just waiting to hear anything else from them.
Is this normal behavior?
Not at all.
To just not show up or call or text or anything?
Not at all, no. She, from time to time, she will leave her cell phone at home accidentally, and that's actually what happened yesterday. She left her phone at home. She went to school. But that happens from time to time. She's got ADHD, her memory. She's very forgetful. So yeah, there's no way to track her right now because the detectives don't have her phone. But this isn't normal behavior now.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday. She had a great time. I couldn't make it because I was working, but she had an amazing time. She was so happy with all her gifts. I told her good night, and yeah, that was it. I wasn't the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner. But yeah.
13?
She's 13 years old. Yes.
13, Madeline?
Madeline.
Madeline. What are you thinking right now?
In my heart, I feel like somebody took her. This isn't like her to just pick up and run away, or just not go to school. I don't know what to think.
Friends, the friends' parents, you've contacted and went through
Everyone.
every single person?
Everyone that we know that she knows, we've contacted them all, reached out to them. The parents have gone out to search and look for her as well. And we haven't come up with anything yet.
I've seen a lot of posts on Facebook, Hunters Creek rants and raves and what have you. Did people say that they were going to conduct some type of like search party or anything?
A lot of people have asked me to volunteer, like if there is one, if they can do one. I have people passing out flyers, going to every store in that vicinity, a gas station, church. I think people were being stopped in the street this morning in front of the school to see if they've seen anything, if they've heard anything. My family they're going all out right now. Yeah.
I know as a mother, a lot is going on in your brain.
So much.
To bring her back home. What have the law enforcement told you that you are able to share?
I mean, that they're doing the best they can. They've had detectives come out, interview us. They took a piece of her clothing for the canine dog to see if they can sniff her out. I'm not sure when that's being done.
Do you have any inkling where she possibly could be? Like if you would say, okay, last time I went to work and came back, she was at James' house or Sabrina's house, and maybe I forgot to check that house, or she played at this park one week and maybe she went back there or something like that.
We've looked everywhere we could have thought, and anywhere she would have been. She would have known to wait for me at the school. But we did check if she could have walked. My mom's office is close to the school. We checked there. We checked the walking paths that she could have taken. We've checked all of her friend's house. I think we've checked everywhere I could think of, honestly.
What do you think? Oh gosh, I just had it tip of my tongue. What was she wearing?
She was last seen wearing a green hoodie, black shorts, white Crocs, a black JanSport backpack with gray hibiscus flowers on it.
And you said this is not like her.
Not at all.
To run away, an argument, anything like that to provoke her?
She's never done anything like this, no. And we haven't had any arguments recently to have this outcome.
What school?
Hunters Creek Middle School.
Tom, any questions?
No.
Is there anything that you think our viewers would need to know about the way you're feeling, the way the family's feeling, Madeline?
We are desperate for any answers, anything that you could do to help. I'm here for it. Just please, if you see my daughter, just please bring her home. I just hope you're okay, Maddie. I hope you're safe. I hope you're not hurt. I just hope she's okay.
When did you notice that she was missing? Because this was at the beginning of the morning.
She got dropped off in the morning. We did not notice until after school pickup at 4 o'clock when I went to go pick her up, and she wasn't at school.
So we're going in 24 hours now.
Yeah.
Just about.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing. No word. No text message. No messages anywhere from her. I've looked at all her social medias. I've looked at all her games she could have played with, any app. No weird conversations. Nothing strange. Everything was conversations with just normal friends or us.
She knows how to get home by herself, as if, like, let's just say, take a bus or an Uber or something like that. She would know how to get home alone, correct?
I'm not sure. I don't know if she would know how to get home. Maybe, I mean, I'm thinking if someone got in the car with her and if she pointed the way, what roads, she probably could figure out how to get. But like, does she know her full address? I don't think she does.
Which would give me it just puts in my brain that she always comes home with someone.
She always comes home with me.
There's no need for her to really learn. Okay. And you said no, Tom? I think that was everything. All right. The first question is if I can get your first and last name and spell them both out for me.
Stephen Stearns, STEPHAN STERNS.
All right, so Stephen, you seem very emotional right now. Explain to us.
I dropped her off. Everything looked fine when I drove away. It's the last time we saw her.
What were the conversations that y'all had in the car when you dropped her off?
Not much. She was asleep for most of the way. Told her have a good day at school when she got out, and I love her. She said thanks, love you too. That was it.
And so where do you think she could possibly be? I mean, this isn't, as I was told, this isn't normal behavior.
It is not normal behavior. She's not the type that would just run off. We don't know where she can be. And we're scared. We just want her home.
Are you, in a sense, blaming yourself?
It's hard not to.
Why?
I dropped her off early. I could have waited longer. She looked okay. She was walking towards the school when I saw her. It was like any other day, so I went on with my day. It's hard not to blame myself.
What has the conversation been with Jen since?
She's been a lot stronger than me. She's been holding it together really well, but it just keeps coming in waves. This reality keeps hitting. We don't know where she is. We don't know if she's safe. We're just scared. We just want her home.
Have you, like, literally put boots on the ground, went out?
Yeah, I even went out with the cops where I had dropped her off. And we looked all up and down the road, all along communities, and there was nothing helpful. None of the cameras were pointing the street. Nothing, which in 2024 was surprising. The church across the street had some cameras, and they mentioned seeing her waiting around in the parking lot for a while before moving on, and that was it. But it was grainy. It was grainy footage, and not much else.
Does it seem like she walked west, east?
They said in the direction of the school. I'm not sure what that is.
What was the language? Not language verbally, body language. When you dropped her off, did she seem happy? Was she like, I'm going to meet my friends?
Happy. She got a happy weekend. She just turned 13. She had her 13th birthday party. She was happy that we were all together here, and she was just very happy. She was a happy kid. She's very sweet. She's a very sweet girl. She brings a lot of joy to us, and we just not knowing.
So the unknown is killing you.
Yeah, it's like our whole world is upside down. Not feeling her presence here is. Sorry. It's hard.
I know you're fine. Don't need to apologize. What do you want our viewers to know when they see this?
She's a sweetheart. She's a very sweet, kind girl. Just please be nice to her. Bring her home if you find her. Tell her that we love her. Wherever she is, I hope she's okay.
I mean, if someone were to come in contact with her and you gave me her diagnoses, would it be easy to approach her without any like agitation or anything?
Yeah, yeah. She's a good kid. She's a good kid.
If you can sum up in one complete sentence, waking up, getting ready to drop her off at school, dropping her off at school, to now speaking to me after talking to the police about her being missing for over 24 hours right now. In one complete sentence, what would that be?
A living nightmare. It's a living nightmare. Day started off like any other. And I just want to wake up and just get hit with waves of the reality just it's setting in. As soon as it got dark last night, we started falling apart because we knew it wasn't going to come to an end. And now we're going on 24 hours and still nothing. Just conflicting reports here and there. People say they see this or that. None of it's conclusive and none of it's helpful. We just want our baby girl back.
Tom, any questions?
No, I'm good.
Thank you.
Just because you hold up there for me.
Still out at the scene right there off of Hickory Tree Road in Osceola County. Good evening to you. I'm Christopher Heath.
I'm Darlene Jones. This is certainly a heartbreaking update to this major story we've been following for you since Monday. This morning, the main suspect who you see here in her disappearance, Stephen Stearns, was taken from the Orange County Jail to the Osceola County Jail. And then this afternoon, the Orange County Sheriff told us investigators believe Madeline was dead. But at the time, they had not found her body. The Kissimmee Police Department is now leading what they are calling, obviously, a murder investigation. We have live team coverage on this major story for you tonight from Orange to Osceola County following the latest developments. We start with Channel 9's Nick Papantonis, who is live near the scene, where, again, sources confirm for us Madeline's body has been found. Nick, what are you seeing out there?
So we're on the other side of this field on Hickory Tree Road. We're going to zoom in all the way to where deputies have set up a light. We can see a couple cars worth of flashing lights. Hickory Tree Road shut down for a good couple mile stretch. We're inside of that perimeter right now as we watch them somewhat do their investigation. We're going to take you to our view from Sky Witness 9, showing you the scene from above, a slightly better view. You can see a long line of vehicles on the side of the road there. They appear to be focusing their efforts on the woods just off to the side of the road. But again, a lot hidden from our view as we watch this unfold. Just to give you a recap of what has happened today and why we are here. Earlier this afternoon, Sheriff John Mina up in Orange County, as well as Kissimmee Police Chief Betty Holland, announced that they had good reason to believe that Madeline was dead. They said video evidence put her body in Stephen Stearns' car Monday morning when he was supposed to be dropping her off at school. They said they found her laptop from school as well as her backpack in a dumpster in the apartment complex where they lived. And they said all of that evidence led them to conclude that she was not alive. It's not a search operation as it was a recovery operation at this point. We've watched deputies and police officers swarm different parts of the area a couple of different times, no luck for the first couple, but then we landed here on Hickory Tree Road, down the road from where officers and deputies said that they'd images of Stearns' car from the day Madeline disappeared. They said that they were on the lookout and asking anybody to be on the lookout because they had those images. They knew that he was here and that he had gotten a flat tire at some point, and they expected him to have changed that, somebody to have seen it. We've learned because of that press conference that they gave that they came to this location where they found her body about an hour or so ago now. So we are waiting to see if a press conference is going to be called to give the update and explain a bit more in detail about what has happened over the last couple of hours. But again, a very Very sad update here from Osceola County and throughout the day, but a little bit of answers for Madeline's mother, who, again, as we've emphasized all afternoon, is not a suspect in this case. Live in Osceola County, Nick Papantonis, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
And there will be a vigil in Hunters Creek tonight in honor of Madeline Soto. Channel 9's Daryl Matthews continues our live team coverage there. And Daryl, organizers are doing this to support Madeline's friends and her family.
Yeah, Chris, under these changing circumstances, they say now it's time to mourn with the community, the family, and Maddie's classmates.
It broke my heart because the first thing that came to my mind was my own daughter. And I'm sure that everybody thinks of that at a tragic moment like this one.
From a missing person to a homicide, community members are trying to come to grips with what is now a death investigation in the disappearance of 13-year-old Madeline Soto.
She had other family members, schoolmates, people that were around her. And so now we mourn. Now we mourn.
Church leaders were planning a prayer circle in hopes of getting little Maddie home safe. But now, with investigators saying all signs pointing to a homicide, the prayer circle has now been turned into a prayer vigil.
We want to let the family know that the church is there for them, that God doesn't abandon them because the situation changes.
Friday, Eyewitness News spotted Kissimmee police outside the home hours after Stephen Stearns, the prime suspect in Maddie's disappearance, was moved from Orange County to Osceola. This comes just days after we spoke to Stearns, who at the time told us he dropped Maddie off at a church near Hunters Creek Middle School.
Are you, in a sense, blaming yourself?
It's hard not to.
Why?
I dropped her off early.
Throughout the week, more than 100 people scoured locations looking for the teen. Tonight, with every bit of new information, the community wraps its arms around each other.
And that vigil will be around this school. It would not be on the premises, but like I said, around this school. That'll be tonight at 7 o'clock. We're live in Hunters Creek. Daryl Matthews, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Our hearts certainly go out to little Maddie's family. The disappearance of 13-year-old Madeline Soto prompted concerns about what some parents consider a major flaw in the Orange County Schools attendance system. Madeline's mother says she wasn't notified that her daughter was absent from school until nearly 6 p.m. Channel 9's Ashlyn Webb spoke to Soto's mother earlier in the week. And Ashlyn, there is now a petition to change that notification procedure.
Yes, I actually spoke to Madeline's mom Wednesday night before the investigation took the turn that it did. She said she felt this was a failure on Orange County Schools, that she wasn't notified until later Monday evening that Madeline was absent. That call was actually after Jennifer had gone to the school to try to pick up Madeline at around 4:30 p.m. Now parents are reacting, saying that Orange County Schools needs to make a change.
Hello. This is a message from the attendance office calling to inform you that your student was absent today.
Jennifer Soto says she got a call like this at 5:55 p.m. Monday, 10 hours after her daughter Madeline didn't show up to Hunters Creek Middle School.
That is a lot of time. You can travel far distances in a matter of 10 hours.
Sarah Terrell, the mom of a Hunters Creek Middle School student, is one of many now asking why Orange County Schools does not notify parents earlier in the day that their child is absent. Terrell started a petition Thursday that already has hundreds of signatures.
I don't think that it would be so horrible that I got a call at 10 or 11 a.m. that my student was absent.
Orange County Public Schools says its automated system notifies parents after the school day because the final cutoff for teachers to submit attendance is 3:30 p.m. Once attendance is finalized in the system, the school district says a report is run and later guardians are notified their student was absent.
I have had quite a few emails from parents concerned about the current procedure that we have in Orange County.
School board member Alicia Ferrant says she plans to discuss Orange County's current procedure with the board.
I can go to the board table and see if there is a procedure that we can change to help prevent things in the future, although with something like this, I don't know that this could have been prevented, and we can't live in the what ifs.
Now, we checked with other school districts in the area about what their procedure is about this. Lake County schools say they notify parents after the first class that a student is absent in, and some states like Ohio have laws on the books that require schools to notify parents within 2 hours after a student is absent. Reporting in Orange County, Ashlyn Webb, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
All right, the superintendent of Orange County Public Schools is expressing sorrow over little Madeline's death. In a statement released to us today, Dr. Maria Vasquez says she is heartbroken and is praying for the Hunters Creek Middle School community. She told us counselors will be available for students and staff there on campus. Chris?
The Orange County Sheriff and Kissimmee Police Chief both expressed today that this is still an active investigation and more charges could be filed. We'll continue to follow every development in this story and share updates both online and on air on WFTV and WFTV.com.
Okay, yes, Florida definitely is a death penalty state. Idaho had that execution which didn't go through. They couldn't get a line on him, and I think that they need to look at building a death chamber suitable for doing executions. Not that the one that they used to use in Utah for the death penalty was that special or anything. It seems to me from the video footage I remember 20, 30 years ago that it was a 100-year-old structure, and you don't really need anything super special. Yeah, well, he was the guy, Creech, they think was deliberately dehydrating himself so that they couldn't insert an IV, and he'll do it again, and others will follow suit. You can guarantee it. If it worked once, it's going to buy him who knows how much time, and he's followed an appeal or filed a stay which has been granted, and it's claimed that is cruel and unusual punishment. Well, no, it's not cruel and unusual punishment, and the they won't have to worry about getting drugs or an IV in if they use the firing squad, which they recently adopted as an alternative measure, and they're going to need it. I mean, Chad Daybell, death penalty case, Robert Best, who murdered his wife, unborn child, and 10-month-old. Those are also death penalty cases. So you've got several. Well, let me take another look and see if there's anything which has come up. Looks like we've gone through most of what is currently out there since they found the body. But when I heard what the content was of the phone, I was just really feeling ill, because that's just terrible. Let me change things a little, see if we've got anything else. Let's take a look at this. This is likely to get a strike from Fox, but yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
Breaking news.
Welcome back to Good Day Orlando on this Friday morning. It is good to see you this morning. I'm Danielle Knox. We do indeed start with breaking news here at this 9:30 half-hour mark.
So we want to get right out to Fox 35's Amanda McKenzie. She is live this morning from outside the Osceola County Jail. And Amanda, we know that there's been some maneuvering. What happened?
Well, just in the past few minutes, we were outside of the Osceola County Jail as Stephen Stearns was transported from the Orange County Jail here to Osceola County. We were right here as he was taken out of the patrol car and brought inside to be processed. Then he was brought quickly back out. I was able to shout several questions to him about Maddie. At one point, he was shaking his head from left to right as if saying no, but did not want to look at us or acknowledge us or answer any of our questions. He was then driven to the back here where there is this fence, and he was brought into the back. You can hear me shouting some of those questions in that video. Stephen Stearns did look tired, and he did look somewhat quiet. We do know that he has asked for an attorney in this case. He has not admitted to anything. He refused to go to the courtroom yesterday for his first appearance. It does remain to be seen if this is just a transfer of charges to Osceola County or if there could be new charges pending. That is something we're going to continue to check on throughout the day now that he is being booked here at the Osceola County Jail. Reporting live this morning, Amanda McKenzie, Fox 35 News.
Amanda, if we could just chat with you for a few seconds, and just if you could give us a little bit of an update now. So if folks at home, if they've not been following closely, so the reason that he was in Osceola County initially is because he has a house in Kissimmee. Is that right? But they believe that Maddie disappeared from Orange County. That's why we're doing the back and forth.
Yes, absolutely. So his home with his girlfriend, who is the mother of Maddie, they live in Kissimmee. This is where alleged crimes occurred, according to evidence found on his cell phone depicting a sexual battery and possession of sexual child abuse material. Those are the charges he is currently facing. He has not been charged with the disappearance of Maddie at this time, but this has also reached into Orange County. That's where he was picked up and put into jail there. So that is why we are both having this case in Orange and Osceola County, but it does remain to be seen if there are any potential new charges, since this is a very active investigation. As far as what we know is he is not cooperating with investigators. Initially, he did hand over his cell phone to investigators and told them, I set it on a factory reset on February 26, which is strange because that is the same day that Maddie was reported missing. But the detectives were able to comb through that phone and find that digital evidence and footprint, and were able to arrest him on those charges.
You know, Amanda, another question for you too, and for our viewers at home, the family. We got to speak with the mother a couple of days ago, and she expressed that she just wants Maddie back home. She wants her safe. And you actually can see Stefan right in behind her in that video, kind of just watching it. We've actually interviewed some people that are not related to the case that talked about some of his behaviors. Can you kind of walk us through, just honestly that interview and also the family's kind of response to what's been going on? Because we haven't heard from them, right, since we've known that he's now in jail with these charges.
Well, we did reach out to the family after Stearns was arrested, and the aunt for Maddie did tell us that they are heartbroken and they're continuing to pray for her safe return. Now, in that interview with Jen, Maddie's mother, she is very upset, crying, just wanting her daughter to come home safely. And in the back far left corner, you can see Stephen Stearns, and it points throughout that interview. He sits down behind her, is seen fidgeting and cracking his knuckles, and we spoke with a behavior specialist who said that is concerning behavior in this case. And in her opinion, not attached to this investigation, she would be suggesting that detectives zero in on him as a suspect. And right now he is considered a prime suspect.
And very quickly, it was just so intriguing to see how close you were to him, and you were able to shout out those questions to him. And you talked about, as you were shouting those questions, he kind of shook his head back and forth as if to say no. What was he saying no to, and what kinds of questions were you able to ask him?
I was asking, where's Maddie? Where was she last seen? Did you hurt her? What could have happened? What did happen in your home, which is what you're accused of doing with your phone, with this digital evidence? What was on your phone?
Yeah, Amanda, it's so many questions. I think that we're all struggling to figure out what happened. But one of the things that we know from that interview that the mother did with Hannah McKenzie is that she repeatedly said, we dropped her off. Right, yeah. We took her to school. And then we know that they didn't actually drop her off at the school. Why is that? Do we know what the reason was that she wasn't dropped off at school?
Well, we don't know directly from Stephen Stearns why he did that. According to Orange County Sheriff John Mina, he speculated that maybe she wanted to be dropped off a little ways away from school. But according to her mother in the arrest affidavit, that is not normal behavior. So that is something to take note of. What I also found interesting in the arrest affidavit is that the mother refers to Stephen as Maddie's stepfather, and he is just her boyfriend. They are not married. So it was an interesting title to give someone to consider them such close family. And now he is considered a prime suspect in her 13-year-old daughter's disappearance. She has been missing since Monday. Just on Sunday, it was her 13th birthday. So you can only imagine that they were all celebrating together as a family, and less than a week later, Stephen is behind bars facing some very serious charges.
Yeah, and I think another too, in those court documents, it also says that Maddie would say oftentimes that she wanted to live in the woods. And so kind of looking at all of these things, maybe when she said, I wanted to be dropped off, far away, it's just very interesting, some of the connections.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amanda, we're going to keep you here just for another couple of minutes because all of this is developing and you're doing such an excellent job on this breaking reporting this morning.
Now, just some context. I understand that when she was talking about wanting to go off and live in the woods, she was talking to a friend about things that they would like to do, and not necessarily that it was anything sinister. So, but you never know. You never know. So let's continue.
But we want to go back and play again your interview, or what you tried to interview, Stephen Stearns. So let's go ahead and listen to that.
Stephen, where's Maddie? Did you hurt her? Are you a pedophile? What's on your cell phone? Why aren't you talking to investigators? Where was Maddie last seen? Why aren't you helping her mother and her family? This is a little girl. Help them find Maddie. Where is Maddie? Where is she? What did you do with her? Tell us something.
Amanda, you asked every question that everybody wants to know the answers to, and obviously he didn't answer any of those questions, and it is just so intriguing to me to see what next steps are in this, right? Because here's the bottom line. He's refusing to appear in court, not that he necessarily has to be there. Not only is he refusing to appear in court, the family right now is refusing to talk any further, and you almost have to wonder, if it's your child, if it's my child, if it's your child missing, what are you going to do? You're going to be screaming, at least I know that I would, from the rooftops. I'd be talking to any and everybody who would listen about where my child is. Please help me find my child. And the fact that everybody has kind of gone radio silent, I think kind of adds another layer of mystery to this story.
It's devastating to think that a 13-year-old girl is missing for this length of time. And as we all report in this line of work, the first 24, 48 hours are crucial. So what is happening with the search? We're still asking for those questions to be answered. Are they continuing to search the woods? The investigators told the public, stay away from that area while we continue to investigate leads and look into that possibility that she could be behind Hunter's Creek in the woods. We don't know. And the fact that the family is not coming out right now, we can only imagine their state of mind. They're shocked, they're upset, they're heartbroken, they're scared, they're worried. You could name a number of different emotions that they could be feeling. And I think as the public, we want to know what they may have known and didn't see at the time. If there was concerning behavior, if there was a reason to suspect something out of the ordinary leading up to this disappearance.
Yeah, I mean,
We'd like
what
to
we
all
don't know is, Amanda, we know they're not talking to us, but we don't know if they're not talking to the authorities. They could potentially still be working with the investigators, so we don't want to, say that. But do we know, Amanda, and I know we've said multiple times that what was found on the phone was so disturbing that we can't report it, but we obviously have some idea. Are you able to give us a little bit of information about what we do know that we can talk about?
I have read the arrest affidavit, and I will say that parts of it are redacted. So we are not even able to know the full scope of the investigation. It appears that they may know the identity of the victim potentially in this arrest affidavit, but they are not releasing that because it is a minor. And there's concerning evidence within that report that says that there was a sexual battery committed and that there was material of child pornography on that phone. And that is why he is facing those 2 very serious charges right now.
Wonderful job you're doing out there, Amanda. And it's so true what you said. I mean, they could be talking to investigators. They could have an attorney who may have advised them
to not speak right now.
Right? So there's so many questions still left to be answered. And certainly this is a breaking news story that we will stay on top of and bring you the very latest. Wonderful, wonderful job out there, Amanda. Just really a great job gathering all the information you can under what is a very, very trying circumstance. Thank you so much for that.
And at the center of all this, we pause to remember that there is a little girl who just turned 13 a week ago, who is still missing. And it's just absolutely heartbreaking to think that she's out there somewhere and that nobody is saying where she is.
One of the things that you said that's so poignant about it too, right? She was 12 the day before.
That's right.
So she was 12 on Sunday. She turned 13 on Monday, the very day that she disappeared. So for parents or non-parents alike, you can only imagine what must be going through the minds of a lot of people out there who want her back safely.
All right, Amanda, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
Of course, we're going to continue to update everybody on air and online at fox35orlando.com. Everybody is watching for these updates. Also, you can always download our Fox 35 News app because we also update things from there when we are not on the air. So you can get those push alerts sent to your phone when any new information comes out about this case.
Okay, they're saying the same day as her birthday. Wow. That's pretty despicable. I've got one more story here. Let's take a look at it.
We have a heartbreaking update tonight in the search for a missing teenager. The body of 13-year-old Madeline Soto has now been found. Osceola County Sheriff's Office search teams found her remains off Hickory Tree Road around 4:30 this afternoon. Tonight, her mother's boyfriend, the prime suspect, is behind bars.
We have live team coverage for you tonight. Paula Tristan Arruda is at a vigil being held for Maddie near Hunter Creek Middle School, where she went to school. But first, Luana Munoz is live for us in St. Cloud, where her remains were found. Luana.
Yeah, that's right. We are right now located at East Earlo Bronson Memorial Highway and Hickory Tree Road. You can see just behind me over my shoulder here, those are deputies, police officers. They have blocked off the roadway. There's no way anyone is getting back through that area tonight. And as you can see, this is a very remote area, again, where the body of Madeline Soto was found. And we are told that her family has been notified of the discovery this evening. Now, I want to read you a quote that we received just tonight from Kissimmee Police Chief Betty Holland. She said, quote, "It is with heavy heart that I inform everyone that as we expected, Madeline Soto is deceased. I am thankful that she was found and for the coordinated efforts of the Kissimmee Police Department, St. Cloud Police, Orange County Sheriff's Office, and the Osceola County Sheriff's Office that were able to bring some closure to this family. This is a sad day for our community, and we mourn the loss of such a young life." Now, all of this started on Monday. If we remember, let's take you through a timeline here. When Madeline's mother first reported her missing, that was after Madeline's mother's boyfriend had apparently or allegedly dropped her off at school that morning. Now, meanwhile, a full search was launched to try and find her. Then on Wednesday, Madeline's mother's boyfriend, Stefan Stearns, was arrested. Detectives found child sexual abuse content on his phone and said that they believe that he was the one engaging in that abuse and they also believe that he tried to delete that material from his phone. Then on Thursday, forensic units were seen at Madeline's home in Kissimmee taking objects from there. Now, we knew that detectives were assigned to specific locations to search for Madeline's body. That was last night, or to try and still search for her. And as we can see, this was the end result of that. They have found her remains, her body this evening, and her family has been notified. Coming from Chief Betty Holland, she says that at this time, the Kissimmee Police Department will not be answering any more questions or releasing any more information, but we are getting some word that we may be hearing from the Osceola County Sheriff this evening. We may be hearing from him. I want to put an emphasis on maybe. So, of course, we're going to keep you guys updated throughout the night. We are going to remain out here and remain with our team coverage this evening. Reporting live for now in St. Cloud, I'm Luana Munoz. Back to you.
Okay. Let's further risk demonetization, and let's go for the Nancy Grace from a couple of nights ago. Because there was some really good stuff on that. Just a sec, let me get this.
The charge of
a 13-year-old little girl seemingly vanishes into thin air. Her birthday was February 22, and she had said in the past, when I turn 13, I want to go away from everybody and go live alone in the woods. And right now, I think I know why. Is this little girl still alive? Where is Maddie? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Crime Stories and on Sirius XM 111. Right off the top, there is a very strong chance Maddie could still be alive. Tip line 407-254-7000. Repeat, 407-254-7000. Every minute counts with what we are dealing with right now. Her mother devastated, and in the last hours, around 10 p.m. last night, a break in the case, but still no Maddie. First of all, take a listen to Sheriff John Mina, Orange County.
This is every parent's worst nightmare. Many of our detectives and deputies who are working the case, they also have children, so they're working extra hard to find Madeline. We can't even imagine the pain and anguish that Madeline's family is going through. But I do want to assure the community that we have well over 100 deputies, detectives, intelligence analysts, and specialized personnel who are investigating this case and searching for Madeline right now. And we will not stop until we find her.
Over 100 deputies, detectives, intelligence analysts, specialized personnel, that means dog handlers, drones, you name it, in the search for Madeline Soto. Where is this girl? None of it makes any sense. With me, an all-star panel. But first, I want to go out to Hannah McKenzie, joining us out of Orlando, investigative reporter, Fox 35. Hannah McKenzie, thank you for being with us. Hannah, tell me about the morning.
Yes, this is from a couple of days ago. There had some great people on who brought up some very interesting stuff. And so I wanted to go over this because she always has some great people on.
That Maddie disappeared.
Okay, so Maddie was last seen around 8:30 a.m. on Monday, February 26th. She was dropped off outside, about a block away from her middle school, which was Hunters Creek Middle School. But she never actually made it into the school. School officials confirm she never checked in, none of her classes, wasn't there the entire day. Her family saw that she was there. But it wasn't until her mother went to pick her up around 4:30 p.m. that they realized Maddie hadn't been there.
You know, before I began screaming at the top of my lungs about why the school didn't call the parents, why nobody knew, how whoever has her, if somebody has her, got what, an 8 or 9 hour jump on us. Explain to me, you're joining us from Orlando. Where exactly did this happen?
So this is within the Orange County School District, and it's the Orange County area. I've spoken with a number of Maddie's relatives, including 2 of her aunts, her grandmother, and her mother, all of whom, like you, are so puzzled and confused as to why there wasn't a call from the school district letting them know that Maddie wasn't there. Apparently, and this is coming from the family, the school district's protocol is to release a robocall around 4:30 or 5 p.m., letting parents know that their student wasn't in class that day. But like you said, that gives an 8-9 hour jump on any nefarious activity that could have gone wrong. By then, it's too late. You need to know where your child is immediately.
Nothing but a robocall, no text, no email. So unless you're at home, basically, to get that call, you don't have any idea. Guys, we are talking about a little 13-year-old girl. We're talking about Madeline Soto, just 13. She goes as Maddie. Guys, you were hearing earlier Sheriff John Mina with the Orange County Sheriffs. Now, take a listen to the sheriff.
Mom's boyfriend dropped Madeline off at about 8:30 a.m. on Monday morning, a few blocks away from the school. At approximately 4:30 on Monday afternoon, Madeline's mom went to the school to pick her up and found out that Madeline was not there and had never reported to school. So she never actually entered the school. And so we also learned that Madeline left her phone at home that day.
Okay, I find so many things about what I'm just hearing to be very curious. You're hearing Sheriff John Mina from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Number one, when I drop my children at school, I take them to the door as best as I can. I don't drop them several blocks away. Number one. Number two, she left her phone at home. Hannah McKenzie, does she go to a school where they don't allow phones in school?
I don't believe that to be the case, but Jen Soto, Maddie's mother, did tell me it was very regular that Maddie forgot her phone. And keep in mind, this is only a few days after turning 13. So really, she's still a 12-year-old. They're not the most responsible. And yes, I'm sure parents are constantly, reminding the kids, don't forget this, keep this, put this in your backpack. But Jen Soto tells me that Maddie would leave her phone behind quite often. So that wasn't abnormal.
That may be true, but let me go out to Anna Sonoda joining us, child grooming expert, clinical social worker, author of Duck, Duck, Groom, Understanding How a Child Becomes a Target. Just those words right there, how a child becomes a target, are very disturbing on many, many levels. But Anna Sonoda, I don't know, just based on every teen or preteen that I know, they go nowhere without a phone. And I find it very coincidental that this day of all days, she goes to school without a phone.
Yeah, that's a really curious detail, Nancy. And I would also be curious about whether or not the boyfriend consistently dropped her off at other locations besides the front door of the school. Is this a common occurrence or is this something out of the ordinary?
We are trying to determine exactly what happened in the morning hours when little Maddie Soto gets dropped off at her school. Everyone, this occurred in Orlando, Florida. It's beautiful, sunny, warm. So I'm guessing if she were out in the woods, Hannah McKenzie, she would not be subjected to any kind of weather that would cause hypothermia. But I just haven't had very good experiences in my world of children fending for themselves in the woods. So, what were the temps on the 26th?
So right now in Orlando, it has been beautiful weather. It's been kind of cool for us, 70s, and then at night around 60s. It has been beautiful weather. So yeah, no chance of hypothermia for sure.
At least that's one thing we don't have to worry about. For those of you just joining us, a beautiful little girl, Madeline Soto, missing since Feb 26. She was dropped off to school by mom's boyfriend. The mom has been in a long-term relationship with the boyfriend. He knows the daughter. When mom came to pick her up, she had never come into the school. What more do we know? Listen to Sheriff John Minna.
We were called on Monday evening at approximately 8 p.m. Our patrol deputies went out there, met with Madeline's mom at the school near Hunters Creek to take a report on her missing daughter. So we started the investigation that night, started canvassing the area, looking for any witnesses or surveillance video. So later that evening, while we were doing investigation, we did obtain an article of Madeline from the house. We called our bloodhound. The bloodhound did an extensive search, which unfortunately did not provide any results about her whereabouts.
Joining me right now, Chris McDonough, former homicide detective with over 300 death investigations under his belt. He's the founder of the Cold Case Foundation, and he is the star of The Interview Room on YouTube. Chris McDonough, thank you for being with us. Okay, let me understand something. And anybody on the panel, we've got a lot of esteemed guests on with us. This is not high tea at Windsor Castle. Jump in if you got an idea. But Chris McDonough, question to you. So she's last seen at 8:30 a.m. in the morning when the boyfriend of the mom's boyfriend, drops her off. There is actually surveillance video of her out of the vehicle, sitting in a parking lot. I believe, Hannah McKenzie, wasn't it at a nearby church?
That is correct. It's grainy video apparently, but it shows Maddie. We don't know if she was alone or with anyone else, but that video shows that she was dropped off in the area.
Where is the church in relation to the school? When I grew up, the school, Dr. John H. Hurd Elementary, was in the very same parking lot. We shared a parking lot with Liberty United Methodist Church. So if somebody said, oh, you're in the church parking lot, that meant you're in the school parking lot. It was the same thing. So I'm trying to understand, where is this church where she's sitting in the parking lot in the morning?
It's about a block away. If you're standing on the sidewalk and you kind of crane your neck, you would still be able to see the signage for the school.
Okay, that's important. Guys, Hannah McKenzie joining us, Fox 35, 1 block away. And the boyfriend said he dropped her off a couple of blocks or a block away from the school. He says he was ashamed of his vehicle. Did you guys see that? Hear that? She was ashamed of the vehicle. Okay, well, can I tell you something? My twins hate to get dropped off by me in my minivan. Hate it. Now, is that the case? I don't know. But he says he dropped her off a couple of blocks away. She's seen in the church parking lot, which Hannah McKenzie is telling me is 1 block away on surveillance video. We know she got out of his vehicle. That's important. So back to you, Chris McDonough. Here is another conundrum. The police get a call, the sheriffs, Sheriff John Minna, Orange County Sheriff, says he gets a call at 8 p.m. Excuse me, isn't pickup 3:30? What happened between 3 and 8? That's 5 more hours. Help me, Chris McDonough.
Yeah, red flags here. If the child has that type of gap in between from the moment they were seen on that CCTV potentially and the moment that they should have been returned home, that time obviously works in favor of the suspect, whoever that person is at this point. And that's going to be, quite difficult to fill in that time until they get somebody into custody.
Back to you, Hannah McKenzie, Fox 35. Why the delay? Maybe it's completely innocent. And let me stress, I do not believe Maddie's mother is involved in her disappearance in any way at all. But that time period, that's disturbing. Now, if I can't find one of the twins, which let me think has never happened. Hold on just a moment. Just once when John David snuck off at age 3 inside a baby superstore. But when they're not where I think that they're supposed to be, I take time to call them, to look for them. Maybe mom called her cell phone for 30 minutes. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Texted. Maybe mommy didn't know that the phone had been left at home. Maybe mommy drove the route and checked the route between the school and home and started calling friends. But 5 hours is a long time to wait to call police, Hannah McKenzie. Do you know what was happening in that 5 hours?
Oh, Nancy, it's funny you mentioned that. We are getting kind of conflicting reports. Obviously, we've requested the call logs, but right now, Jen Soto, Maddie's mom, tells me she went to the school to pick her up around 4:30, realized she wasn't there. She did exactly what you just said, Nancy. She drove a route that was from the school to Maddie's grandmother's business, which was very close, probably within a mile.
Well, whose business? Whose business?
This is Maddie's grandmother, so Jen's mom.
Okay.
So she drove that route to see if Maddie maybe had walked to her grandmother's business. Didn't see her. Went back to the school. By the time she got back to the school, it was closed. She emailed Maddie's teachers, got confirmation that Maddie didn't make it to school that day. She tells me she called police immediately, and they told her they didn't have deputies to send her way and to hold tight. Multiple members of Maddie's family tell me they just began calling 911, trying to get an officer out there to take a report, but they felt they were being put on the back burner. It wasn't until around 8 o'clock they were finally able to get in contact with a deputy to make the report.
You know what it sounds like to me, Hannah McKenzie? That a lot of people have it all backwards. The time is reduced if the mom went at 4:30 and the call was at 8. Okay. Let me go back to Chris McDonough. Jordan, who's speaking?
That's Chris.
Chris, jump in.
Okay, so also another thing to consider, to your point just a minute ago, is, she's dressed for a day activity, i.e. black shorts, a green hoodie, and white Crocs. She's not dressed as if she's, in long pants and is going to stay out into the evening, which you had talked about earlier. So this child is anticipating some type of activities during the day, which is obviously.
Yeah, not to interrupt Chris, but do we have independent confirmation that's what she was wearing? Because I don't believe anything he says, and it sounds like they're rather dubious about whether the image of the girl in the parking lot was actually her. So hope they have somebody great to do the autopsy and the forensics. So let's continue.
It's important to consider from an investigative perspective.
Guys, you're hearing Chris McDonough from the interview room on YouTube. Now, I'm trying to figure out where you head next in this investigation. We also hear, Hannah McKenzie, Fox 35, that bloodhounds were called out. Where?
That's correct. Bloodhounds were called out near the school. Apparently, there's a little hiking area back there. They brought in an article of Maddie's clothing for a scent reference, and bloodhounds were brought in. Unfortunately, they didn't hit on any scent trails.
Even in the church parking lot?
I believe so. They were canvassing the entire area where Maddie had been seen.
Okay, one thing on a missing person case that I went out to help search. That was 20 years ago this summer. Let's see. I can't remember her name now. Anyway, the husband said she went jogging up Memory Grove and her car was found there. And so I went out on the day after she went missing, and when I was coming back on this down the canyon on foot, I fell in step with a dog handler, and he said that they had 10 dogs out there at the park at Memory Grove where her car was found, and they didn't find, they didn't get one hit there. And so I knew instantly that she was never in that car there at that location. And so, I think dropping her off at the parking lot is a red herring. The fact that not a whiff got detected at the park, just very suspicious to me that it ever happened. So let's continue.
I know multiple businesses had surveillance video showing her, according to what Sheriff Mina was saying. So they did scour that area, and I believe they're still out there today.
Multiple businesses catch Maddie on cam? Yes, no?
In addition to the original grainy video from the church, Sheriff Mina mentioned in his press conference that there was other video showing Maddie.
Guys, joining me right now, I'm hearing in my ear, Dr. Trace Sargent, search, rescue, recovery expert, and spent a great deal. This is how I met her. She's an expert canine handler. She's a star of a podcast, The Seeker's Quest, and you can find her on Facebook at The Seeker's Quest. Trace, thank you so much for being with us. I know you from your days as an expert dog handler. What does this tell you about the bloodhounds being brought out?
Well, Nancy, it's interesting listening to the timeline here. That is an important factor when we look at all these different resources, specifically for dogs. Dogs have this incredible, amazing ability to detect scent in a lot of different ways. However, it's important for listeners to know that scent, if you look at it from the perspective of a living organism, it comes to life, it has a life cycle, and then it dies out. And there are many factors that can either accelerate or decelerate that lifespan of scent. Describing the scene of where Maddie was last seen, it was very urban, concrete, asphalt, a lot of vehicles. Even though it wasn't super, super hot, it was still sunny type of weather. It wasn't raining. It was dry conditions. All of those factors is going to have a negative effect on scent. And the bottom line is this: no matter how good a dog is, if scent isn't there, they're not going to detect it because there isn't any scent there. If we don't pick up scent in an area, and it's really very fortunate that we have any video surveillance that shows that Maddie was in the area, so that is a big, big plus that we as dog handlers have what we call a starting point. And then the dogs can determine a direction of travel, pick up the scent, and then follow that person's scent to hopefully where they are. In this case, if the dogs are not able to pick it up, you have to say, okay, did Maddie get into a vehicle with someone? Or if I was working this, I would put my dog in a situation where if Maddie is in the area and we can't see her with our eyes, I'm going to use my dog for that. Let's say in a wooded area or in maybe hidden in a building or something like that where we visually can't see her. Also, if I put the dogs, let's say in a wooded area, there's a higher likelihood that scent is going to be more contained there because of the vegetation, the grass, the trees, the canopy of the vegetation and trees. All of those factors are going to help scent stay alive even after hours or days later. So just because the dog team doesn't find scent at that exact location, there are still alternatives to use that resource, but it also raises other questions. Is Maddie not in the area? Has she been picked up? Is she is because my thought is that if she's in the area and let's say she's fallen down and hurt, her scent is absolutely going to be quite strong in what we call a scent pool. So if we're looking here now 4 or 5 days later, she's lying there in the woods, her scent pool is going to be extremely strong for the dogs to detect and be able to go to her.
This makes me think that she has been taken somewhere in a vehicle. Guys, we are learning more about the investigation. Has little 13-year-old Madeline Soto been taken away in a vehicle? Is she still alive? The facts we are learning are very disturbing. Very disturbing. Listen to Sheriff Minna.
Our missing persons detectives responded to take over the investigation. So they did interviews with mom's boyfriend, Madeline's friends from school. We were able to access Madeline's phone, and there is information on the phone that indicated that she told people when she turned 13, which was on February 22nd, she actually wanted to go live in the woods. So that was in her phone.
And I think I know why this little girl wanted to go live in the woods. Listen.
Detectives forensically examined Stephen Stern's cell phone and discovered disturbing images. Looking into the phone's data, detectives uncovered attempts to delete evidence from the device as well. Images and videos on Stephen Stern's phone that were criminal and sexual in nature. Detectives were then able to determine that those crimes were committed at the family home in Kissimmee. Kissimmee police were notified immediately. Stephen Stearns was brought into the Orange County Central Operations Office to be interviewed, but he invoked his right to an attorney. Sheriff John Mina says the search for Madeline continues.
Straight back out to Hannah McKenzie.
You'll notice that he was wearing a Tyvek suit, which is something that they wear when processing a crime scene so that it helps to prevent contamination. Obviously, they took his clothing so that they could analyze it for trace evidence, either on him or on body. Just a sec, I gotta sneeze. And I suspect that Brian Koberger probably changed into or slipped a Tyvek suit over his clothing after he left the crime scene in the Idaho 4 case, because there wasn't any evidence in the car, and so I strongly suspect, and he may have worn the Tyvek suit on the way there so that he wouldn't have any evidence on his clothes going into the crime scene either. And being a master's student, graduate student in forensics, he would know about these tactics. So let's listen to some more.
Joining us, investigative reporter Fox 35 in Orlando. Let me understand. Detectives not only looked at Maddie's phone, they looked at the mom's boyfriend phone, Stephen Stearns. There they discover what they say are disturbing images. They also see where there have been attempts to delete images. The detectives state that the images show crimes were committed in the family home, and they are now investigating mom's boyfriend for sexual battery. What can you tell me?
Well, disturbing developments for sure there, Nancy. Not only are they investigating the boyfriend, Stephen Stearns, they have arrested him. He is charged with sexual battery and possession of child sexual abuse material. I spoke with Maddie's family. They were in tears just following this news. telling me it's disturbing, that he's been by Maddie's mom's side, Jennifer. He's been by her side throughout this entire process, and they're very shocked to hear the news.
Possession of child sex abuse material. He is charged with sex battery. Hannah, in the charge against him, who is the alleged victim?
They actually haven't named the victim. They just have said that he is now prime suspect in the disappearance of Maddie Soto.
Jarrett Ferrantino joining me, homicide prosecutor, high-profile lawyer at JarrettFerrantino.com, host of True Crime Boss. Jarrett, I think I know why she wanted to go live in the woods. I mean, if these crimes, according to what we are learning, they are telling us, we're not fabricating this, that the sex crimes, the sex battery, and the child sex abuse material, the crimes were committed at the family home. Maddie is a child in the family home. Now she's gone. She's been saying she wants to go live in the woods. A red flag, my rear end. If your little girl says, I want to just go live in the woods, Mom, I want to know, why do you want to go live in the woods? Why don't you want to stay in the home with me and your dad and your brother? I mean, it's screaming at me, Jarrett Ferrantino, that she is the likely victim of child molestation.
Clearly, Nancy, she's trying to distance herself from that home, and one can only conclude that it's distancing herself from the individuals in that home. The charge of sexual battery really jumps out, and the fact that the police are saying the location of the crime was in the home. Those are not typically the charges that coincide with possession of child abuse materials. These are actual batteries and affirmative acts that appear to have happened in the home. One can only conclude that Maddie would have been the victim of those.
Late last night, this boyfriend was taken into custody. You can see him wearing a white jumpsuit. That's clearly county issue. Hannah McKenzie, what can you tell me? Hannah joining us from Fox 35 Orlando. What time did this go down? And are the only two charges right now child abuse material and sex battery?
Those are the only charges that we have been made aware of, at least for this morning at the latest update that we got at around 10:45. Those charges are still sticking. Stephon Stearns arrested for child sexual abuse material possession of, and then sexual battery as well. So I did speak with a law enforcement expert last night just following the news that he had been arrested and named prime suspect in Maddie's disappearance. And he took a look at that perp walk video and saw that he was wearing that suit that you mentioned, the Tyvek suit. And so he told me that that indicates that Stephon Stearns' clothing would likely have been seized and processed for genetic and trace evidence. He also likely probably had his hands swabbed, and scrapings may have been taken from underneath his fingernails. So I guess that is just the process where law enforcement is right now, trying to connect Stephon Stearns with the disappearance of Maddie Soto, and better yet, try to find where Maddie Soto is right now.
Dr. Trey Sargent joining us, search, rescue, and recovery expert, canine expert, and law enforcement. You're an expert in predator behavior. Why is he wearing the white suit I mentioned that Hannah McKenzie elaborated upon?
Yes, Nancy, that is standard protocols to collect any evidence, which is includes clothing, body fluids, hair, saliva, anything and everything, and time is of the essence. When we talk about, again, the timeline, we're behind the curve on this, unfortunately, and trying to catch up, so to speak, and get evidence before it's destroyed or manipulated in any way. So getting that up front and as close as possible, and really covering all the bases, checking all the boxes, because everything is pointing to him. And no matter, as you know, as a prosecutor, we may think that this person is the perpetrator, and he's a predator and all of these things, but we have to prove it. And in order to prove that, we have to have the evidence.
Joining me is Dr. Jory L. Crozan, a psychologist, former law enforcement, now faculty at St. Leo University at drjory.com. Dr. Jory, thank you for being with us. People may say, how could the mom not know that there was a sex predator in her home, that she was allowing access to her child? But I see it happen all the times, and I believe the mother. I don't think she had any idea what was going on. From what I can tell, Hannah McKenzie, jump in if I'm wrong. Dr. Jory, I don't think she had any idea what was happening.
I could go with that also because, you know, I've had patients in child abuse cases where the mother didn't know what was going on because of the relationship with the live-in or the boyfriend being such a convincing type person. I mean, that's all part of their personality. That's part of that show that they play. You know, that's who they are in that grooming process. It's an art form that's well learned. One of the points about her making a comment wanting to go live in the woods, you know, I find that really kind of disturbing and interesting. And, you know, we work these with timelines. And I first thing I would want to find out is when did she make that comment and who did she make it to? And I bet, you know, you could correlate possibly the start of any kind of sexual activity or abuse with that, because that's really an escape phrase. You know, I want to get out of here. I want to just go live in the woods. You know,
I've never heard that term before, an escape phrase. And you're hearing Dr. Jory L. Crozan, and now to an expert on grooming, Anna Soto, joining us. You know, and Dr. Jory, jump in if you have a different idea, as well as to you, Hannah McKenzie. Guys, we're trying to find a little 13-year-old girl. She just turned 13. She's really, as Anna pointed out earlier, she's still really 12. She just turned 13 a couple of days ago. And she kept saying, when I turn 13, I'm going to leave everything behind. I'm going to go live alone in the woods. Why? What girl says that? Anna Soto, joining us, author of Duck, Duck, Groom, Understanding How a Child Becomes a Target. I was thinking you may not recognize what's going on because your boyfriend or your husband is a predator, but would you recognize signs in your child? Or if it's a teenage girl in this case, would you think, oh, she's just slamming her door and locking her door to her bedroom because she's a teen. She's having mood swings, blah, blah, blah. And I want to circle back to this, Hannah McKenzie. I wonder if they didn't immediately come to the scene because they discounted her as a runaway. Just a thought. But I want to address this, Anna Soto, the idea that her behavior was discounted because, oh, she's just a teen. This is the way they behave with mood swings.
Yeah, Nancy, you've brought up so many interesting points. And I want to first begin by saying that over 90% of all sexual crimes occurs by somebody who is known and trusted. Stranger danger is a complete fib. And what we need to remember in this case is that the home is the highest risk setting for any child. So if we already have proof of sexual battery by this individual that occurred in her home in Kissimmee, my alert bells are already on. One thing I need your audience to remember is that children who live with a single parent who is dating are 20 times more likely to be sexually abused than a child who is living with two biological parents. So Maddie is already high risk for a situation involving child sexual abuse. Can
you give me that figure again, please?
Yes, ma'am. So children who are living at home with a single dating parent are 20 times more likely to be sexually abused than a child who's living at home with two biological parents.
I would also add to that the lethality in that relationship of a live-in is very high. That's a risk factor too of not only sexual assault or battery, but the lethality.
Let me understand what's happening. Hannah McKenzie joining us. This idea of her going to, quote, live in the woods was also on her phone. The police found that. How was the mom responding to all of this?
Well, Nancy, at first, the family told me that that was taken out of context. They did say that it was a conversation between Maddie and one of her friends, and they had been discussing the state of the world, and they said if World War III comes, that was their plan to get away. But I do think the reason that they wanted to get out in front of that text message, because that's what grabbed all the headlines, right? Immediately, when you hear that, you think runaway. And that's what you brought up, Nancy. I think the family was so fearful that law enforcement and everybody else was just going to cast judgment that this was just a runaway. And they wanted all eyes on Maddie's disappearance because they truly believe she did not run away and she was taken and something nefarious has happened.
I'm just curious how much time they wasted, Jarrett Ferrantino, thinking that Maddie was a runaway. Her mother has stated that she has never run away from home before, not once, not ever.
Those are precious moments, as you well know, in the initial stages of the investigation. And although everyone claims they treat a runaway missing child the same as if they believe someone has been harmed, they don't. I mean, this was a very pressing situation. This was not a child who wandered off into the woods. And that sentiment could have thrown off the early stages of the search for Maddie here.
I'm trying to figure out how much time they actually lost. And we know because the school claims they did a robocall to the parents. We've lost several hours. Question, Hannah McKenzie, is the boyfriend now behind bars in custody on sex battery and possession of material related to child sex abuse? Is he saying anything at all about where Maddie may be?
From this point, we don't know if he's cooperating with law enforcement. The last update that we got from them, they had mentioned that he had invoked his right to an attorney and was placed under arrest. That to me is the red flag saying he is not speaking until he has someone present legally representing him.
I understand that grainy video surveillance, which may be the most important clue we've got yet, and I assume that police are combing through his vehicle with a fine-tooth comb right now. But that grainy surveillance, isn't it around 8:50 a.m. in the morning, and doesn't it last for about 10 minutes? Do you believe that Maddie appears to be sitting in the parking lot as if she's waiting for someone?
I'm actually not too sure about the details of that surveillance video taken from the church. Maddie's mom, Jen, told me she wasn't even allowed to see it. She did tell me her sister had seen it. And then it seems like law enforcement took a little bit of a back step and said, well, it's very grainy. We haven't even been able to prove without a reasonable doubt that it is Maddie. And that is when he mentioned that there was other video taken from the area as well.
Based on that grainy surveillance video that occurred around 8:50 a.m. on the morning of February 26th, it appears, according to a family friend, that it is Madeline, and she appears to be sitting there as if she was told to wait, like she's waiting on someone. Now, I don't know how much you can glean, how you can determine that from surveillance video, but that's what was stated by a family friend. What more can you tell me about the relationship between the mom and the boyfriend?
Well, Nancy, it is interesting that sometimes Stefan Stearns is referred to as boyfriend. Other times he is ex-boyfriend. When I spoke with Maddie's mom, Jen, we did that initial interview, and it was via Zoom. The entire time, Stefan Stearns is in the background. He's sitting just behind Jen, and he makes his appearance known. He comes in during the interview, drops a chair quite loudly, and then sits just behind Jen, staring into the camera, popping his knuckles, audibly cracking his hands, and fidgeting the entire time she's talking to me.
Okay, I'm certainly not an expert in non-verbal messages. But Jarrett Fiorentino, you and I have tried enough cases to know what that means. It's intimidating, it's defensive, it's a power play. Like, I mean, do you see my husband running across the back of this screen behind me? No, because it has nothing to do with him. Is he back there flexing his muscles and cracking his knuckles? No. Just, I find that really bizarre.
It is bizarre, and that's not the way. Whatever his intention was with that behavior, it's certainly not consistent with someone who, number one, was the last person to see this child before she went missing, and number two, someone who's concerned and wants to utilize the media to get the message out. It's somebody who, at a minimum, is trying to be intimidating, or is just acting strange, not in keeping with someone who's concerned.
And Jarrett, let's just clear something up. He can have a lawyer tell him, exercise your Fifth Amendment. After speaking to him, say, take the Fifth, don't talk. He doesn't have to talk about his child sex materials claim or his sex battery claim. But if he wants to fine Maddie, he could talk about that and waive his right to remain silent on that issue alone, couldn't he?
He certainly can. And it looks like the police gave him the opportunity to do just that. And they said he denied them the opportunity to bring closure and find Maddie. That statement has come out. So it appears that they've even given him that narrow road to say, help us find her, clear up this disappearance. And he's invoked his right to counsel. And you know as well as I do, no one's going to advise that he come in and come clean.
Hannah McKenzie, I'm not sure about this, but I'm getting the idea that what you're telling me, or what this means, is that there is surveillance video from other cameras, business or residential, that suggests that was not Maddie in the parking lot.
Well, it's unclear because initially family had said there was video of Maddie taken from surveillance video from the church near where she was dropped off. The sheriff's office came back after and said, well, it's very grainy and we haven't for sure ruled out that that is her or not. But he did also mention, Sheriff Mina also mentioned in his press conference that there was other video taken from the area. And I think that's just standard protocol when it comes into play. I mean, they're going to go to every business, every camera that they can find in that vicinity to
I understand that, but my point is, jumping ahead, does the other video from the area corroborate that she was ever in the boyfriend's vehicle, that he ever dropped her off, or did they just keep going? Is that why the dogs aren't picking up a scent? Because I trust the bloodhounds. If they're not picking up a scent, then there's something wrong with the story. What is wrong with the story? I don't know. Does that video suggest that was another girl in the parking lot?
I agree with you, and I think only tell.
Chris
Nancy,
McDonough, is that you? Jump in.
Yes, ma'am. That's a great point, because that would be the pivotal moment that the electronic shift would have occurred in terms of the investigation. If in fact they have the video and they're not seeing, the young lady sitting, then if they see the car go by, immediately they're going to start looking for that digital footprint. And that's probably, they downloaded it in a program called Celebrite, and you can get pictures and everything almost immediately. And that's probably what turned their head towards this guy and said, hey, wait a minute.
Okay, we've now heard that the phone, that when he turned it over to the police, he said, oh, I did a factory reset on it. I don't know. They've managed to recover the inappropriate images documenting some of his crimes on the phone. I'm hoping that they are able to get GPS data still from it, but I don't know, since that's a tricky issue. So let's listen to the end of this here.
Reminds me, I'm glad you said that. Hannah McKenzie, what's the make and model of his car?
I'm not for sure. I was told by Maddie's aunt that it was an older model Buick. That's what she believes it to be.
The reason I'm disappointed is because if it were a more recent version, I would know that there was a navigational equipment in the car. So there would be a way for that car to be tracked. That said, if he kept a cell phone with him, which I predict that he did, we would be able to ping and track that cell phone to find out where he had been in that vehicle. The car is being processed to find out if Maddie was harmed in that vehicle. Is somebody jumping in? If so, do it now.
Nancy, it's Jarrett. Absolutely. That's going to be a huge piece. His comings and goings, the police have his phone. That's where they found the child abuse materials. So they're going to be able to trace, number one, if he did in fact drop Maddie off, or where in any of the surrounding areas he may have gone with her or taken her, could have left her, her body, God forbid. But that's really going to be where the investigation is at right now.
If you know or think you know anything about the disappearance of this 13-year-old little girl, Maddie Soto, please call 407-254-7000. We are waiting for the make and model of the boyfriend's car, but please think back. Were you in the area? Do you know anything? Does your son or daughter know anything that Maddie may have said? 407-254-7000. We wait as justice unfolds. Goodbye. Guys, thank you for watching Crime.
Okay, and they've that concludes that. I'm not seeing much else that we've got other than the interview. And I'm not sure if that's edited. This came out 5 hours ago. Let's pull that up.
Jen, go ahead and tell us what's going on with Maddie.
Well, Monday morning, we took her to school. We dropped her off close to school, across the street from a church, which is it's right next to the school. She crossed the street and walked to school, what we thought walked to school. My boyfriend who drove her to school drove away at that point. It was seen on video footage that she hung out in the parking lot of the church for a few minutes and then got up and walked towards the school. But she never made it that walk and that was around 9 a.m. when she got up. She never made it to school after that. It's right next to the school. I don't know why she didn't make it. I don't know if something happened on her walk along the way or if she got taken, but she never made it.
And that was the last anyone's seen of her or heard from her?
Yes. I went to pick her up after school, and she wasn't there. So I started driving around, maybe thinking she took a walk. Maybe she decided to walk to my mom's office, which is pretty close to the school as well. I drove around and I didn't see anything. I drove back to the school. The school was closed. I emailed one of her teachers. They confirmed that she was absent all day. At that point is when I called 911 because I realized something was truly wrong.
Have you heard from any of her friends? Has she been active on any social media?
She hasn't been active on social media. None of her chats, none of her games. We did contact all her friends. None of them had seen her Monday or heard from her. Yeah, there's no update.
And I have to ask this, and I know I hate doing it, but is she the type that would run away? Has this happened in the past or anything? Has she ever threatened to run away?
Never. She's never ever mentioned anything like this before, and she's not the type to want to do this. She did accidentally leave her phone on Monday. which is kind of normal for her. She's got ADHD and very forgetful. So she left her phone at home, so there's no way to trace her. They tried tracing her school laptop, but that's off, so it's not pinging to anything.
Jen, what is your fear? I know you mentioned she's on games and stuff. Do you think she could have like met somebody and tried to meet up with them?
She's open to us. She's open with us about, if she's got a crush with anyone, and she told us she had a crush on someone at school. And I looked at their messages, nothing was weird. I looked at all of her messages, all of her deleted messages. Nothing seemed weird. It didn't seem like she was talking to anyone. So I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like she may have been taken, because this is not like her at all, to just disappear and not tell us, not let us know where she's going or who she's with. Yeah.
What are you getting from law enforcement? Are they actively searching for her? What happens now? Especially that she doesn't have her phone with her.
So as far as I know, they're conducting a search around the school. Behind the school, there's a Shingle Creek. There's a wooded path area that you could walk. It's a hiking path. They are going back there with their canine dogs. They've taken a piece of her clothing to see if they can trace her scent. They're also taking their own vehicles. I'm not sure what type of vehicles, but they're going into the woods to search for her. But I don't feel like that's going to find anything right now. We've had people all day on that trail sending us photos to see if anything there looks familiar and like her personal belongings, and nothing is hers. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure where to go from here. I'm just contacting the news to get the word out, to get some help, because I'm desperate. I'm a wreck right now.
So you think that she's been taken against her will?
I do think so, yes.
As a mom, what's your mother's intuition telling you right now?
I'm trying to hope for the best, but I'm scared for her. I want her to be okay. I want her to be safe. I don't want her to come back harmed. I just want her back. Whatever that means. I just want her back.
Are you getting any updates from law enforcement? Yes, they're searching that small area, but have they gotten any hits on any scent or anything like that?
They haven't let me know anything. They haven't updated me since I spoke to them this morning. I've contacted them to get some information or to give them some leads, but I've heard nothing back.
And Jen, there's no way that she, just being a teenager, was like, maybe had a fight with you or an argument with you and was like, you know what, I'm gonna go hang out at so and so's house and teach her a lesson. Could that be a scenario?
I don't believe so. We actually haven't gotten into a fight in like a few weeks, or arguments or anything like that. If anything, on Sunday, she celebrated her 13th birthday with my entire family, and she had the best day. She was so happy. She showed us all her gifts. She's just a happy girl, and she showed it on Sunday night when she went to bed. She was so happy. So, she had the best day. I just, there was no moment in that evening from when she got home from the party that she had her phone or had the laptop. She went straight to getting ready and went to bed. So I know she didn't have any conversations with anyone. She didn't make plans with anyone. I didn't see any of that.
So she's spent the whole Sunday celebrating her 13th birthday. Was her 13th birthday on that Sunday, or that was just like the time you guys were celebrating?
That was the time we were celebrating. Her birthday was on Thursday, the 22nd. She just turned 13.
But that's just so heartbreaking to be celebrating her 13th birthday, and then the very next day, that's the last you've seen of her.
Yeah.
Where do you go now? Are you gonna go out there and search or look, or are you sticking by the phone? Are you what are you doing?
I'm staying at home, staying by the phone, hoping she just appears. I know my entire family is out looking. They've all spread a bunch of flyers. I've had people contact me that they've gone to the international airport to spread flyers, to Amtrak, to Greyhound. just any way that if someone's taken her and they're trying to take her, just to show her face, just to make sure, she's not being taken against her will.
And you mentioned ADHD. Was there anything else maybe mentally going on or that you knew of?
She does suffer from anxiety, and once upon a time she was diagnosed with autism. We had her what's the word?
Brained, maybe?
Reevaluated.
Okay.
We had her reevaluated a few months ago, actually, and they told us no, she didn't have autism, but she did have some autistic traits. She did have ADHD, some autistic traits, but not autism. So I'm not sure where to leave with that, because one doctor said she did and one doctor saying she doesn't, and I don't know. She's just in the middle, I guess, because she does have some tendencies, but socially she's pretty great. So I'm not sure.
And with the video that you were able to see whenever your boyfriend dropped her off, where was that? Which video? Was that a surveillance camera?
It was a surveillance camera from the church, Peace Church, right next to Hunters Creek Middle School.
And do you have that video?
I don't have that. They didn't show me. They wouldn't show me. It was actually my sister was the one at location, and they were letting her know what they saw on camera.
Okay.
But they didn't show it to any of us.
Got it. Okay. Jen, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Please, 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 if you have any information, contact me, contact law enforcement. Any information helps. Maddie, if you see this, please come home. Please be safe. I love you very much. If you have my Maddie, please just let her come home. We just want her home.
Okay, and there's nothing really new that's come down. We've watched the 2 interviews with the mom, the one with the killer boyfriend in the background, and the other one where he's talking on camera and wiping away tears. And I really hope that all the different channels where they do body language and statement analysis will go over the one with him wiping away his tears with a fine-tooth comb, because I'd be really interested. I mean, it looked convincing if you didn't know now with hindsight about him, but I want to see what the experts have to say, because, he looked convincing, and obviously that's not the case. So probably tomorrow we'll get some more answers as to what happened, maybe a press conference. There doesn't seem to be anything new coming out tonight, so I think we'll wrap this up. Please consider hitting the like button, subscribing. I like to do drama-free true crime content. I'm a paralegal, so I'm a court nerd. I love to watch court proceedings and go over statutes and so forth, and stick to the facts, because until you know what the actual evidence is, it's all speculation. And so anyway, have a great evening, and hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.